Hey, it's me Shane from Gemini Garage, and when I'm not fiddling around with amateur radio, automotive, or home improvement projects, I do enjoy playing the guitar a little here and there. I find if I'm a little bit frustrated or stuck on a project, sometimes I come in, play it for a few minutes, kind of resets my brain, and it's just something that I've had laying around since I was a teenager, and I've really enjoyed having a guitar in my life, I'll put it that way. I think it's probably saved my life a few times, to be perfectly honest with you, because it's definitely something that when the rest of the world isn't agreeing with you, you can do your own thing with it. So, having said that, who doesn't like a little rock and roll, right? The problem is, sometimes you're can turn into this. And that's not cool. And that's because you got a bad end here. What happens is a lot of times if you've got a guitar that's got a jack that's on the bottom corner like this, this thing will end up getting munched into the kind of the floor, or the carpet, or maybe the couch cushion. And so these things can start shorting out, you know, within a matter of days if they're real cheap. Other times the cables just get old. It's just time to put a new end on them. So that's what we're going to do today. And if you have a cable that does not have a removable or a reusable end like this one does, you can, you know, get an aftermarket end for it. So that's what we're going to do today. So stick with me. Okay, well, like I said, we're going to try and get a look at this here. I made the cardinal mistake and did not grab my glasses, so I'm going to grab those real quick, because you really don't want to be trying to do. I keep telling people it doesn't matter how good your eyesight is. Good to have some reading glasses or some magnifiers when you're doing this kind of work. It really makes it a lot easier. So these ends are going to come apart, you know, in different ways depending on how they were manufactured. This particular one here, you pretty much just unscrew this off of here. And then this whole thing just kind of slides out of here. Like that. And when I say they're going to come apart differently, you know, some may have a set screw here and there. Some you might, you know, unscrew the end out and pull it out that way. There's just probably different ways of making them. And as I said before, if yours is not the kind that comes off like this, you can, you know, get an aftermarket end and put that on there. So basically, working with radio equipment and stuff a lot like I do, this is basically a piece of coax here. You've got an inner wire and an outer shielding wire. And you can see right here the one on here is just pretty much broken off there. It was just pretty much just sort of making contact like that. So that was giving us our involuntary pickup mute going on there, like you do with your treble switch. So what we're going to do is we're going to strip this back a little bit here, get some clean ends on here, and resolder that on there, and we should be good to go. The outer shield part is the part that goes to the large outer part of the ground, and the smaller inner one here is where the center conductor goes. So let me got a soldering iron and some wire cutters here, and I'm going to gather a couple more things up here, and we'll get to it. Stick with me. This whole thing just kind of broke off as I was handling it, so once again, your outer shield here. This stuff looks really old, like probably when, I know I've redone the end on this a time or two, but I probably just did a real quick solder on there and didn't bother to cut all this back and do all that, which is what I'm going to do right now, because this shielding wire is looking pretty sad right there. So this has this little shrink wrap piece of plastic on there. I'm going to have to cut that off. I can always put another piece of shrink tubing on here, but like I said, I'm going to kind of nip this whole thing off and get my knife here and cut around it and kind of start from scratch. So And you can look on here and see about how much we need to strip off. And that's probably maybe 5/16 of an inch or so. You can strip off a little bit more and then just trim it down if you need to. Let me grab my knife here. Again, everybody has their different way of doing this. This is how I do it. Now, if you're going to use any type of extra shrink tubing or anything to put over this, now's the time to do that. And I'm just going to take a tiny little piece of some of this here. This is the good stuff. It's got the adhesive lined. I'm just going to put that over there for now, and I'll get to this when I'm done with all that there. Okay, so now that we got our sheathing back, so we need to cut off about this much here. And this stuff you can kind of stretch it over a little bit, but like I said, we got this shrink wrap on here, so that'll make up for any difference in the length of this here. Okay, so let's see if we can just shave off about the same amount here. They do make cable cutters for this. It's a much better way of doing it, but this is just kind of the quick and dirty way of doing it. If all you've got is a sharp knife and some wire cutters and some patience, and that's what I didn't want to happen, is I ended up cutting through a lot of the shielding there, which I didn't want to do. So I'm going to basically just do this over again. I'm just going to do the same thing, and I'm just going to do a little bit lighter. I did not realize how the shielding in this was. I'm used to cutting the shielding in coax for CV like Mini 8. That stuff, the shielding, you can saw on that stuff pretty good. You're not just going to go through it. You pause this real quick just in case my camera overheats and it doesn't save the file here. That's been known to happen. Alright, that's getting pretty close there. Okay. There we go. We lost a couple of pieces of our shielding, but we still got most of it there, so that's going to be just fine for what we're doing here. So, good to go there. Nip a little bit off of this here. I'm not sure whether I'm going to, I think I'm just going to saw around this a little bit real gently here. And then we'll this black plastic cover off of there. And now we're just down to the outer casing here. Okay. And there we go. We shouldn't need a whole lot sticking out of there to solder it into there. You don't want a lot of excess wire with this stuff here. So now what we're going to do is we're going to turn our attention to this thing here. I'm going to heat my soldering iron up, and we're going to get this old crappy piece desoldered off of here. I got a video on one of these things. These are really inexpensive. They're great because they heat up really fast, and when you're done with them, you can just unplug it and set it aside. And man, let me tell you something. Half of the time when you burn yourself with a soldering iron, it's you know, when it's unplugged and it's cooling off and it's sitting there, you know, because you got to have it in the right place to cool off because it's got the cord coming off of it. This thing, you just pull this off, set this thing, and I mean, this thing in itself is nice and small, you can see. But just to be able to unplug this and set this thing aside someplace and not have to worry about knocking that cord and knocking it off of there, it's so I go on and on and on every time I use one of these, so I'll shut up. But it's been one of my more favorite modern tools, I guess you could say, over the last few years anyway. So okay, so let's plug this thing in, and we just hit our positive button here, and this thing will just heat up, and in about 30 seconds or so it'll be ready to go. Good idea to have a little assortment of pliers like these. You can get these cheapy little pliers at Harbor Freight. These are great to have for just stupid little stuff like this. Okay, the iron is hot, so we're going to move it over here, and I'm actually just going to kind of leave it sitting on here. I'm going to make sure I got this in frame here, put a little bit of pressure on here. Okay, so we got that off of there, and I would say there really isn't any more solder that needs to be removed. That little bit that's on there is fine. There's a little on here, but that's okay. This thing needs to be straightened up a little bit, but let's see if we can straighten this up just a touch. Alright, so now what we need to do is basically take this thing here. Now remember, our outer shield goes to this outside one here. So we're going to put it down. I'm going to twist this up just a little. I could tin this a little bit. That's probably what I should do. But I'm just going to stick it in there. And that's kind of how they had it soldered in there. And my solder's around here somewhere. Okay. You see, instead of having a soldering, I'm just kind of doing this offhand. I really could be doing a little bit less ghetto of a job here, but this is just kind of how I'm doing it right now, just because. So. Just trying to tack it on there so I can actually solder it on there now. Okay, I think we're good to go on that one. Now we're going to do this other one here. Alright, almost. Close enough. Okay, I think we're pretty good to go there. So I'm going to just unplug this thing here and set it aside, which, like I said, that's the thing I love about it, is you don't have to worry about whacking the cord and knocking that thing over or spinning it around and burning yourself, which is what always seems to happen to me. So yeah, we're looking pretty good here, I think. So what we're going to do is we're going to slide this thing up here a little bit. And we're just going to put the lighter on that and shrink that down. Okay. And we're going to bring this thing back up here, kind of slide it up over there like it was there, and then we had our barrel here. Now there's probably was maybe at one time some shielding or something that went between these two to kind of keep these wires separated. Actually, if I twist this thing enough, I think this thing will go all the way up. I think that's how we do it here. I think it goes all the way up into there. Like, okay, yeah, this whole thing goes into there like that. So that's how this is supposed to go, I think. Like that. Alright, and we're going to slide this back over. Slide this up here. Okay. And we should be good to go. Now the other end wasn't causing me a problem. This end just started, I just started using that particular style of guitar, and I was using another guitar that had another type of an input jack, and so this wasn't, you know, getting munched on the floor and on the couch and whatever when I was sitting there playing. But I got that other style of guitar, and so this end here was getting seriously abused here. I need to get a 90-degree adapter and some 90-degree guitar cable. So anyways, let's go check this out and see if it works. Okay, well, hopefully that wasn't too painful. Hopefully that was a pretty good demonstration, and will help you get your cable fixed. There's nothing worse than a bad guitar cable like that, and like I said, it's just going to happen from age and everything else. And you should always have some extra cables on hand, because sometimes when you have a bad cable like that, you stop playing, and then the next thing you know, you haven't played in a while, and then the next thing you know, somebody's like, oh, you haven't played that in a while, you need to get rid of it, and yeah. It's all because you needed to just replace the end, or maybe replace a string or power cord on your amplifier. Stupid things like that, but you know, keep your guitar gear in line, because it is one of those hobbies that if you don't do it all the time, it can be kind of easy to fall out of it. So with that, let's see if our end fix solved our problem here. I think we're good to go, so that's what you want to hear. The only thing moving around down there is the input jack nut's a little bit loose, so I do need to tighten that. But yep, otherwise good to go. Pretty happy with that. Can't complain about it. So I hope that helped you out. Like I said, just a couple of wires. You know, sit down with it, be patient with it, have some wire cutters, soldering iron, have all the stuff you need, maybe an extra end, and take your time and you'll figure it out. Till the next video, Shane, Gemini Garage. Put some hair around it, right?